Hello, today we're going to continue our verse by verse Bible study in Matthew chapter 14, where it has the feeding of the 5,000, which is mentioned in all four Gospels. I find it interesting because the feeding of the 5,000 is mentioned in all four Gospels, but even the ascension of Jesus Christ is only mentioned in two, if I'm not mistaken, and also the virgin birth is only mentioned in two of the Gospels. But the feeding of the 5,000 is mentioned in all four Gospels, which I find very interesting. So here we go. Chapter 14. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus and said unto his servants, This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John and bound him, and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, It is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them, and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel. And she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus. When Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals. But Jesus said unto them, They need not depart, give ye them to eat. And they said unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, Bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake, and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled, and they took up of the fragments, and that remained 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship, and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit. And they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him, and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand, and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth thou art the Son of God. And when they were gone over, they came into the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place had knowledge of him, they sent out into all that country round about, and brought unto him all that were diseased, and besought him that they might only touch the hem of his garment. And as many as touched were made perfectly whole. So that was chapter 14 of the book of Matthew. I'm just going to read this note right here on verse 25, 14, verse 25. Verses 23 through 25 are remarkably disguised passage on the second advent, carefully concealed so that no corrector of the authorized version text could find it. Verse 23 is a picture of Christ's ascension and intercessory ministry in this age, Romans 8:34. The night is a picture of the church age, John 9:4 through 5. Christ likens his second coming to a master returning to his house during one of the four watches of the night, Mark 13:35. Even, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., midnight, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m., cock crowing, 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., and morning, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. This verse sets Christ's second coming in the fourth watch, the morning watch. Given the millennial day system of 2 Peter 3:8, if our calendar had been right, and obviously it is not, the second advent would have been AD 2000. That would make the four dark ages, AD 1000 through 1500 cock crowing, and AD 1500 to 2000 morning. The sea of this verse is the sea of Job 41:31 and Habakkuk 3:15, the great deep. I find that very interesting. A lot of people thought that Jesus was coming in the year 2000, and now a lot of people are saying that he's probably going to be coming in 2033 because it's going to be based off his death and not his birth, and I find that to be very interesting. If you do I would look up the 7,000 years of human history by Robert Breaker if you haven't done a Bible study on that, about the 7,000 years of human history set up by the book of Genesis, and how in 2 Peter where he says a day with the Lord is 1,000 years and 1,000 years is one day, and how it matches up with 7,000 years of human history, and literally from the book of Genesis everything is just matches up what aligned and what happened in human history. And if you trace the genealogies back to Adam, it looks like we're in about the 6,000th year or the 6th day, and Jesus Christ still has to reign for 1,000 years. So we're getting very close to the rapture and the second advent, and so there's not much time left. And so I definitely recommend you look up the 7,000 Years of Human History by Robert Breaker if you haven't never heard of this, or if you want to learn more about it. It'll definitely give you a new perspective on things and how close we are to the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. See you next time.